Good morning. This is a public information meeting for a planning application to rezone the property at 3335 Highway 38358 in Arlington to the commercial recreation P1 zone to allow a campground. The applicant is Fred Rogers and the file number is number 21-03 and today is February 24th. I'm June Granger and I'm the counselor for District 1 and I'll be hosting this meeting. And also with us today is Mark Fredericks. He's the GIS planner for the municipality of County of Kings.
Okay, so I think I'm going to share my screen, which should put up that presentation.
Okay.
Are you able to see that now?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, and hello. Thanks for the introduction, Councillor Granger. We do have an application, a planning application to rezone this property. The application seeks to rezone into the commercial recreation zone, which is known as the P1 zone. We are located in Arlington, 3335 Highway 358. The application comes to us from Fred Rogers, who's the current owner of the property. The purpose of this meeting is to inform the public of the application, to explain some of the planning policies, and to receive feedback from the public. The proposal here again is to rezone the property to the commercial recreation P1 zone, and that zone would enable as of right development of a campground. So that zone has regulations around setbacks and buffering and parking requirements, all structured around a campground type of use. Kings County is a large place. Arlington is located here in this red circle. On Highway 358 is the location. This is the subject property. There's an existing dwelling on the property at this point. It's kind of a mixture of cleared area and wooded area. And there's a mixture of uses along here. This is certainly known as a bit of a tourist destination, the look-off area. You can see there's some parking areas on the side of the road where you're able to catch a beautiful view, which this sort of demonstrates. So directly across the street from this subject property, certainly a well-known view within Kings County. This overlooks the valley floor and the Minas Basin. The zoning on the property is currently A2 or rural mixed use. This zone allows for a variety of uses. And in this rural area, there's also a few other zones. There's an M3 or kind of industrial use over here and a P1. This is an existing P1 zone. So this property would be turned into the green P1 zoning. This existing P1 is another campground. It's been there for many years and also has that wonderful view from the look off across the street here. This site plan was received from the applicant who's working with Houdini Design Architects. This shows a potential layout of the property, being some parking on the sort of eastern side and in the back where there's quite a section of wooded area. This is the proposed is a scattering of kind of small cabins back in the woods, and these would be fully accessible. And there's some anticipation of future housing for the owner, potentially a small convenience store, and other kind of recreational uses. So from a planning perspective, we look to our municipal planning strategy, which does allow for rezonings into the commercial recreation zone, pretty much anywhere except for residential areas and the A1 zone. Those criteria, though, are just on the next slide. So it's important, though, to recognize which policy we use. In this case, it's MPS policy 2.7.16. This policy says that council shall consider proposals to rezone lands within any designation to the commercial recreation P1 zone. And during the evaluation process of the rezoning request, council shall be satisfied that the property to be rezoned does not include lands that are zoned agricultural or A1, lakeshore residential or S1, Lakeshore Limited Development, or S2. These two zones are primarily around our lakes on the South Mountain. And we also seek to find that the property doesn't contain any environmental constraints, or O1 zoning. This criteria also prohibits land within the residential designation. So if you're in a neighborhood within a growth center, you can't rezone to the commercial recreation zone. So this is a long, kind of complex way of saying that the policy that we're looking at allows for commercial recreation rezonings to this zone in fairly specific areas, but mostly in rural areas. The other criteria is that it meets the minimum lot area and minimum lot frontage for the commercial recreation zone. Because commercial recreation sometimes has a significant impact on the land and on surrounding uses, these minimum lot areas are quite large. So you have to have a fairly large property and a fairly large road frontage. And again, that's sort of aimed at ensuring that the property is large enough to accommodate, a campground or other kind of recreational use, and not have too much disturbance on neighboring properties. So we ensure that it's not in any of these zones. We ensure that it can meet the lot area and lot frontage requirements of the zone. And then we go through the general amendment criteria. Those general criteria are something that we look at with every type of rezoning, whether it's to this zone or to any other zone. We look at the proposal's consistency with the intent of the planning strategy. We look at the financial impact on the municipality and land use compatibility, proximity of schools and other recreational and community facilities. We look at potential traffic impacts. We look at whether there's adequate fire protection and adequate water and sewer services. We look at the potential for flooding or serious drainage problems, and any potential impact on well fields or groundwater supply areas. The general criteria continue to include some consideration around pollution due to soil erosion or siltation of watercourses. We also look at negative impacts on lake water, when applicable, if there is a lake nearby. We also look at negative impacts on neighboring farming operations. And we look at the general suitability of the site. Is it flat? Is it steep? Is it wet? Is there a marsh in the middle of it? Those sorts of things, as well as various utility right-of-way. So sometimes there's a power right-of-way. Those are the sorts of general criteria that we look at, in addition to the specific criteria. The process is shown here. We've received an application and we're holding a public information meeting. The public information meeting is largely to get feedback from the public, inform the public of the application, and we then take that kind of public input back to staff when we do a review, and we bring a report to the Planning Advisory Committee. That Planning Committee makes a recommendation to Council, which would hold a public hearing, which is an opportunity for the public to become re-engaged at that stage. And that also includes a notification. So if you've received a letter in the mail regarding this application, you would receive another letter in the mail regarding any potential public hearing dates, which may occur in the future. So that's the sort of policy review that we look at, a brief overview of the application. The commercial recreation zone, really it would enable a campground, but we would rely on the zone regulations to ensure that the buffering from side yards and setbacks and parking requirements are all satisfied. So those specifics are really handled in the land use bylaw already. If you have any questions or comments, my phone number is 902-690-6276. You can also reach me at mfredericks@countyofkings.ca, and those contact details are on the screen at this time. And with that, I'll pass it back to Councillor Granger. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. That was wonderful. I think Fred Rogers was trying to get in there while you were going through your presentation. So I do believe he is on the line. But for everyone else, this presentation is being recorded and it'll be posted on the municipal website for about 30 days, and you'll have that time to view the presentation and provide questions or comments to the planner, which will be included as part of the report to the Planning Advisory Committee that reports to Council. I believe that's everything. So the planner is available to receive any of your further questions or comments. And as you can see, he has already said his information is right here on the screen, or you can check him out on the Municipality of County of Kings website, Mark Frederick's GIS Planner.
That's right, and I think you're right. Fred Rogers has joined the meeting, and if he chooses to say anything, Fred, if you're interested in maybe saying a few words about what you received, that's certainly a choice now.
I am. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Because sorry for the delay. I just had an issue getting hooked up. Thanks for the time this morning. And your explanation of the process of what we have to go through, Mark. Your planning department has filled me in earlier when I went in with the application, and they're very helpful. I sent out a letter and actually a map of what I'm thinking about putting. So the buffer zones and all the setback easements, I think are kind of outlined there. Obviously, this is on paper and it can be altered somewhat. There's lots of room there. So my plan is to actually just offer the area a year-round glamping, camping facility that's available to the public. I really want to cater to the seniors. I want to make everything accessible to seniors. That's kind of a niche we'd like to focus on, and I think it's something that's missing. There are a lot of tour buses that hit the lookoff throughout the year. They really don't have a place to pull in and get out and stretch their legs. I mean, there is, but if it's crowded on that little spot, then there's really not much for them to do. So there's a lot of possibility there with my property. But in the short term, I would really like to offer it to the public and make a year-round facility. And Cape Split is one of the biggest hiking destinations in the area now. And I mean, I'm talking to people all over Canada that know about the hike Cape Split. It's just not just a Nova Scotia thing. So there's very little for those people to stay throughout the year, except for a short window, 3 months a year. Other than that, they have to go to Wolfville, New Minas, Windsor, Halifax to stay all night, except for a few bed and breakfasts around here. There's year-round. There's limited space for people to lay their head at night, actually. So, any questions about what my intentions are up there?
No, I think it's laid out very well. Thanks, Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great, Fred. Thanks for giving that review there, and I think that really helps a lot hearing directly from you. And again, if anyone's listening to this recording and has any questions, they can certainly reach Fred through me or reach Fred directly. But if you have any questions regarding the process or what it may look like, you can reach me, and I can put you in touch with Fred, and we can carry out those conversations. So that's really helpful. And so I'll pull this off the screen, and I think we're able to maybe pause the recording there.